you.
So this is Rusty Schaffer, founder of the Front Light Guitar.
Way
now I
back
understand
when.
what the light part means.
There you go.
I see it now.
There you go.
It sounds like an exciting product. And then you sold it recently?
I actually sold it in 2010 and was CEO for the last 9 years. They're still being sold today, but I stepped away to pursue some other things. And the musical instrument market is sort of on a downturn.
Is it?
Which is a longer discussion.
Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately it is. So anyways, it was a good time after 30 years.
So he knows a thing or two about a market, and he is going to tell us about how you can identify and then validate your target market. So take it away, Rusty. I'm going to shut the door on you back.
Thank you. Well, welcome everybody. Many of you know me, some of you don't. As Maggie was saying, I spent 30 years in business with a consumer product that I invented. I'm also a former intellectual property attorney, so add that into the mix. And I'm a flight instructor, so throw that in the mix as well, and you get me. So today I wanted to talk to you. I'm also, I should tell you, I'm also a mentor at StartUpNV. I'm on the board of Entrepreneurs Assembly, and I will be teaching this spring an entrepreneurship class at UNR and 2 at TMCC. So somebody wants to get all this knowledge out of me. Awesome. So let's talk about identifying and validating target markets. This is a very, very interesting topic and so relevant to what you all are doing, I hope, as business owners. Or if you work for someone that is a business owner, they're doing. Let's talk about the big picture for a second. It's really all about the customer. It really is. It's not about you. It's not about your idea. It's not about how smart you are. It's about the customer. I recently just told someone this morning that there's a difference between an idea and a business. We all have great ideas, right? A lot of us come up with them every day. As you're driving, you see, I wish they'd do that. I wish they'd do this. Why can't somebody make it so I can do this? How about somebody should solve that problem? And you have an idea. That doesn't mean it's a business. The problem is that we all think that, number one, our ideas are awesome, and we are the majority of the market. If I want it, why wouldn't somebody else want it? I know best. I can speak for that. That's an awesome toilet paper holder. I know these things. Not correct. Not correct. You need to be like Mr. Spock on Star Trek and detached from your idea and ask hard questions. Sometimes I try to represent it to new entrepreneurs, and I say, you've got this entrepreneur hat on. Now step over here, right in the middle of the screen, and say, okay, I'm going to come work for you. Are you sure you ask people if they really want this? Is this are you sure this is a good idea? Are you sure? That's what you have to do. So the big picture here is, who's your customer? Do they want your solution? And then how do we find them economically? Probably some of the only people that don't need to worry about that are Apple and Google, right? Even they have to worry about economics, but for them, getting to every customer in the United States, doable. For all of us, not doable at all. So again, can I find my customer economically? That's the question. All right, so how do we identify our market? So we identify our market using TAM, SAM, and SOM. All right, let me explain these terms. TAM is the total available market. Okay, that's your biggest market. That's your upside win. Okay, if you invented a belt, guess what? Pretty much almost every human on the planet, if they wear pants, they probably will use a belt. Most of them. That's your TAM. Your SAM is your serviceable available market. Okay? Now that's a market within your geographical reach, and I might even add your economic reach. Okay, so let's go back to that belt example. These days, with digital media and social media, I can get to pant wearers in the United States pretty easily, digitally. So that might be my reach, okay? How much I spend is a different question. How much I get for my spend, how many customers I could get for that spend is a different question. But that's what SAM is. Your SOM, or your serviceable attainable market, is really the portion of the SAM that you can reliably get. Right? And that's really more toward a localer type product, okay, or service. All right, so I'll give you an example of that in the next slide. Needless to say, these are three sort of acronyms that are used when writing a pitch deck, talking to investors, but more importantly than investors and a pitch deck, it's you. It's you. Remember this person over here that's your alter ego? Have you done the TAM, SAM, and SOM exercise? You have to be your own harshest critic. You have to. Because number one, you don't want to stand in a room where somebody else is your harshest critic. It makes you look kind of foolish. So if you're your harshest critic, and you answer those hard questions, meeting in front of other people is going to be a breeze. Okay, so let's quickly go through an example. You own a fast food restaurant. Okay, so TAM would be the worldwide fast food restaurant market. That's your TAM, right? Your SAM would be the customers eating at fast food restaurants in your town or nearby, right? Again, geographical reach. SAM is the demand for your products within your reach. It's a little bit fuzzy when we're talking about digital marketing of products, right? Oh, especially if it's software over the internet, that reach can zoom out the entire US very quickly. Your SOM, okay, your serviceable attainable market would be the customers you can attract living or working close to your restaurant. So again, you're not going to get every fast food goer at your restaurant. You have competition. So now you start to have to take an educated guess. I'm the only pizza place within 10 miles of all these other fast food places. You know, maybe I can get 10% of that fast food market, right? I'm the fourth taco place. A little harder now, right? Maybe 3%, maybe 2%. So now you have to sort of use some educated guessing and figure out your markets, right? So why is this important? Again, if you think like an investor, these are the acronyms that investors like to see. And the important thing up here on this slide is remember, you're your biggest investor. You're an investor in your business from day one, the minute you thought of that idea. Right? You started to invest your time, well, guess what? Your time is worth money. Your time is worth money. Liz in the back knows this better than anybody. She has a whole discussion on that. So you are your investor. You are your investor, your first investor. Again, I know it sounds elementary. Come over here. Okay, Rusty, I'm going to invest in your business. Have you thought about what the upside is here for the TAM? You've got to step outside yourself. You've got to do yourself that service. I tell people and entrepreneurs all the time, imagine, we all know businesses are not human, correct? They're a collection of humans, but they're just things, right? They're documents filed in Carson City and they become a website, and they're just things. What if your business was a person? What if your business could talk? What would it say to you? What would it say to you? Why are you screwing around? You need to do some more marketing. Come on, get on with the sales. Start talking to people. Reduce the price. I need food. What would your business say to you? So, again, TAM is the big picture. That gives you and an investor or a potential partner, or even sometimes an employee, the big picture of what the upside potential is here. Right? In our fast food example, I don't think, unless you are going to franchise your business, you're really not going to discover TAM. Now, your business plan might call for franchising, And so an investor or even yourself, as you put time into your business, TAM might be an important thing to understand. Okay? SAM and SOM are derived customer segments in order to understand the level of risk, right? So as we go through this exercise with our business, we start to whittle down to serviceable, okay, obtainable markets and addressable markets. And maybe we conclude, you know what, I had a great idea. And after I looked at the market and I did this exercise, it's not as big as I thought it was. I've got an investor that's telling me, asked me some questions I couldn't answer. It's not as big as I think it is. So that's an exercise, right? We want to go through that exercise to understand our business. Our business is nothing without customers. Customers make up a market. We have to talk to customers and we have to know our market. Okay, step 2. Validating the market. So how do we validate a market? So we've got a business. We've narrowed down our TAM, SAM, and SOM to a geographical area. You know what? I invented my new fast food taco barbecue sandwich. Tastes great to me. I don't know why anybody wouldn't want it. Is that the way we do that? No. I'm great. One customer, super. But what if nobody likes our new taco barbecue sandwich? I'd be shocked. I'd be disappointed. But guess what? That could be a reality. That could be a reality. We have to talk to customers. There's a couple ways you can do this. Okay? There's a website called Servata.com. It's an awesome website. It allows you, and they help you, it allows you to get out there and ask questions. I think it's for 6 questions. It's $1 a person. They will help you with your couple of your 2 questions to identify your market. You can ask 6 questions, and if you're not a professional survey writer, not a problem. After you submit, they will give you feedback. They'll even call them on the phone. It's an awesome, awesome website. And you get data. You get data. You get graphical data. You can submit pictures. You can submit graphics. Look at my screenshot. Dear customers, tell me what button looks better. Whatever you want to ask. This is an awesome tool, Servata.com. I think the minimum is 200 recipients, so that means it's a $200 charge for you. But it's a great way to start your journey to find out if your customers will buy the thing that you've invented. Yes?
So that sounds like a great idea. Now, do they already have users for that $200, or do you have to upload?
They have users. So they have users, and they will help you identify the segment. Maybe you need stay-at-home moms. Maybe you need truck drivers. They will help you identify the market. I think they give you 2 questions to do that. And then you get your 6. And it's up to you to write the 6. And again, they have multiple choice answers, write-in answers. I can have one single answer. I can see a picture. I can listen to a sound. I can watch a video. And then they'll help you craft the question so it's not biased toward one answer.
That's really $1 a user. That seems over the top.
It is amazing.
Oh my God,
I've used it. I thought the same thing, and I discovered them about 5 years ago, and I used it in the guitar business that Maggie mentioned we did, and it is awesome.
It just doesn't seem like you have to spend so much money to reach enough real users that it wouldn't even be worth it. I mean, the cost of acquisition, 1/10 of one survey, it just doesn't seem like it would be worth it to spend.
For this, or you mean?
Yeah, for this.
No, this is awesome. Normal, if you called a focus group company and said, hey, I want to do a focus group and bring in 20, 25 people and have you guys help me with a focus group survey, that's like 15 to 20 grand.
Right. But,
and to run a paper-like campaign, $5 to $50.
A lot of companies do spend that. That's why those.
You can do a survey monkey for like practically nothing.
But with SurveyMonkey, you got to find the people.
Right, but I mean, it's not, even if you tried to find people, it's not going to be $1.
Well, the whole point is, I think this is pretty cheap. Okay, I mean, again, for identifying a group and having help writing the questions, it's an amazing service. So take it as you want, whatever, but check them out. You can certainly validate the customer by social media, right? I recommend you get on your social media and ask people, right? Hey, not so much would you guys buy my product, but what do you think about this idea, right? You have an inside group and an outside group. Your inside group is your family and friends, and they're probably, depending on your family and friend group, they may be brutally honest with you, or they may not want to insult you. So be careful there. Outside group, right? Acquaintances, professional circle, contacts like this. You can always ask people's opinion, but there's a better way to do this. It's called human-centered design, and I got exposed to it about 5 months ago through our friend Larry Daly. And Larry doesn't pay me anything for these plugs. So I want you to know that I really believe in this, and it's very interesting. So Larry conducts essentially focus groups, but it's based on the emotional needs of a customer, not the product. So let me explain that. And then I'll go into the example. So what Larry does is, rather than say, here's our prototype, what do you guys think of this? Because that will start to introduce bias. People are going to be hesitant in a focus group, if they're getting paid or they're getting a free lunch or whatever they're getting, to say, I hate this thing. Well, it's okay, I guess. Would you use it? Maybe. You're not getting honest answers. So rather than that, Larry approaches it and says, hi, we're interested in presentation software, and kind of what people think about it, and how do you guys control your slides? How do you, what do you guys do when you want to switch slides? Does somebody do it for you? What do you use? And now people are talking about ideas. They're talking about their own experiences and their own stories. And they're able to tell you the truth. Oh God, I hate it. Yeah, some people use those clickers. I'd rather just have somebody do it for me. And what you're finding out there is you're finding out the true needs of the customer. Again, maybe you had the idea for a new whiz-bang presentation clicker. But how do you know if anybody will buy it? How do you know that? It still means it's a good idea, and maybe you want to spend your money and make one of them for yourself. Seriously. But that doesn't mean you're going to turn that into a business or a product for your business. Larry conducted a survey for us. I started an app with 3 of my millennial college kids called Seat-Amigo. And it is an app that allows you to get on Southwest Airlines and choose your seatmate before your flight. And I had flown Southwest for 15 years. I know Southwest. It's a good idea. I thought of it. It's got to be a good idea, right? Right? We built our app, and I talked to Larry about it, and Larry did some informal asking around, and he said, hey, I think it's still a good idea, but I don't want you to get disappointed. I'm not sure these people that are frequent flyers may pay for this. I'm just not sure. And I was shocked. Larry, what are you talking about? He said, we need to do a human-centered design focus group, find out who the customer for this app is. And I said, okay, you run it, let's bring some people in. So we had an idea, or we tested a market segment of millennials. Millennials that flew Southwest, that are from here, that never heard of Seat-Amigo before. And we did it in this room about 4 months ago. And we even set these tables up as if they were well, actually, we moved the tables. We set the chairs up as in the 3 rows and 3 rows, like an airplane. And Larry started to observe, right? Innovation Center Flight 101 now boarding. People came through the doors. We had about 20 participants. And they started to sit down, and Larry started to do his thing. He started asking, how'd you guys pick those seats? What do you think? As soon as people kind of started to loosen up and understand that they were just talking, Larry had questions. Well, I picked the seat because of this, and I didn't want to sit next to somebody. Or I wanted to leave room to sit next to somebody. Or I love the window seat. Then he started to ask more questions. Well, what strategies do you use when you sit down? Nobody wants a middle seat person, so what do you put the bag there? What do you do? See me grow? Drool.
Every time.
So Larry kept going, and he did an interesting exercise. After some of these initial questions, he made everybody get up and split into two groups, and we had Post-it notes. So I was there, my kids were there, but nobody knew seeing me. We didn't say anything. We were just helping Larry out with this exercise. And he said, I've been retained by a travel company to ask the travel. So nobody had a clue, right? Other than you had to fly Southwest and be MLM. So Larry asked some questions. What do you look for when you sit next to somebody? And the girl said, definitely not smelly. If I see a smelly person, how funny is that? If I see a smelly person, right? And of course it was like, how do you know there's, no, I'm not gonna go down. So they started saying these things. And we wrote these on Post-it notes and we started to put them up on the wall. And all of a sudden, people started free-flowing. I don't like to say, I'll look for that person. If they, this person, if they're wearing this, they look clean, what have you, right? We had all these Post-it notes, and we started to see similarities and group them. People wanted these type of people next to them. They didn't want these people. Then Larry said, all right, awesome exercise. Remember, we had two groups going. Now, you're the president of Southwest Airlines. Your customers hate the damn middle seat. They just hate being squished in there. What can you do? You're the president of the airlines. You got to do something. How can we make the flying experience better? They started thinking, and the first couple people in both groups independently said, let's make the middle seat bigger. Let's make the middle seat bigger. And then somebody else said, well, let's turn the middle seats around so they all face the other way. And those are interesting ideas, but Larry said, it's going to be a major retrofit. No, we can't do anything physical to the plane. And then we had somebody say, well, if I could see a profile of the person I was sitting next to, I might not be as anxious to sit next to them, and maybe I could kick somebody. Yeah, if I could see a review, if that person, if they talked too much, if they didn't talk to me out, they left me alone, and all of a sudden, ideas, once again, we Post-it notes on the wall, and they started to walk themselves into our app. They started describing what we had done with our app without Larry saying, what do you guys think of this app? Human-centered design. It works and it's amazing. So at the end of this whole thing, we told them, okay, you've all been part of a focus group for the new Seat and Ego app. It shows you profiles of other flyers, lets you pick them or ask them if they want to sit next to each other, blah, blah, blah. And they said, oh my God, we've used that. Was that really a stretch? They walked themselves right into it. That's how human-centered design can help you and your business. If you do an exercise like that, I highly recommend you do it with Larry, because he's the expert in implementation. You find out that instead of guessing, God, I hope my customers like this blue widget I made, you'll know they don't want blue, they want purple. So that you'll come out proudly. Here's purple. Gotta order more. Boy, they really love it. Well, it's not a surprise. When you do human-centered design, it's not a surprise. You can do this for a service. You can do this for products, whether they be software or hardware products, everything. So I highly recommend. It's an amazing experience to watch. And I believed it, and I sort of said, well, I don't know if this is going to work. And when you see it in person, when you see people talking about their emotional needs, all of a sudden you're just a believer. You just go, wow, this is amazing. And you can do it along the way. So had we done this first, the next step would have been, okay, millennials like this. Now we need to do another group and show them screenshots. Let's see if we have that process correct. Right? And that is the way you do these things. That's the way the big companies do them. We were talking earlier. When Apple releases a new phone, there's no guesswork. There's no somebody going, oh, I hope it's right. There's nobody doing that. They have to make too many. There's too much risk. And so they do this behind the scenes. We all don't know about it unless you're in that group. Probably several groups. Could be tens of groups. They do it enough so there's zero risk. They come out with a new phone, a new color, they already know. They already know that it's gonna be in demand. They just don't know exactly how much. So when you hear Wall Street say, oh, they've missed projections, that means they got it mainly right, but they just missed a little. And in their world, missing a little bit could be 1 million customers. Okay, so you validated your customer, you identified your market. So now let's talk about reaching your customers. Right? And there's really two methods. There's free and there's paid. These days, free is great. There's a lot of free on your own social media. If you have an industry-specific product, like I had in the guitar market, there were guitar blogs, magazines that, of course, went online where they are looking for content. They're looking for new product alerts, press releases, comments from industry leaders, word of mouth, contests, referrals, your own website. But remember two things. On the free side of life, you get what you pay for. Right? You get what you pay for. Sometimes in your free content, you're going to have to put more work into your free than in your paid. Content is king. Pictures are king. Real stories are king. Okay? Customers have choices. And in this day and age, you have less time than you did 20 or 30 years ago for a customer to read what you're trying to say, or listen to you, or watch you, or experience your product, or look at your website, or what have you. So you've got to nail it. Right? Free. Be honest, be out there, be yourself, because guess what? Your competition can't be you. They can't be you. Be you. My real name is John. Rusty's a nickname that I got when I was a year old. And I remember when I started the guitar company in 1990, and I made a business card for the first time, and I put John Schaffer. And I thought that's what I was supposed to do. I needed to be official. And I remember somebody saying to me, why didn't you use Rusty? Because nobody knows me as John. I had to sign things like that. But if you said, John, look out, there's a bus going to hit you, you'd all be going to my funeral. And I said, I don't know. I thought I had to be kind of, businessy. Be yourself. Be you. Be quirky. Be unique. Your competition can't be you. Now, the paid methods, the good news is that some of the platforms like Facebook and AdWords, Google AdWords, let you drill down to your target markets. Facebook is really great. It's really great. So instead of just saying, let's put an ad out there for my belt, right? My belt that I have, go back to that belt company. Now you can narrow it down. I'm selling a man's belt, this size, this color. You can find people that had voluntarily gave information to Facebook from their profile saying, I'm a clothes hawk, right? I'm a business, I'm always looking for new, unique fashion, what have you. You can drill down and find that on these social advertising platforms, which is really, really great, because they'll also give you analytics with it, and you can measure the success. And that means by measuring success, you can quickly pivot if you need to. Whereas in the old days, we took an ad out in the magazine. Not only did we have to wait 3 months for the magazine to appear, then we had to wait a month to see if anybody, like what was the total number of people that called. And then we said, okay, not a good ad, but now we were 4 months into it, and it's crazy. So now you can run a Facebook campaign for 2 days. If you don't see the results, change it. Wait another 2 days or a week. Change it. Influencers. So let's go back. AdWords, YouTube, Instagram. Depending upon your product or service, one of the mediums might be better than the other. Right? Maybe your uniqueness is you getting in front of people. If I could just get in front of people and talk, they could hear me as energetic as I am. Well, maybe YouTube's for you. If a travel product, and they could just see these places that I've been, these beautiful, gorgeous places, maybe Instagrams for you, pictures. Influencers are another thing. I recently talked to somebody who was kind of an expert in the influencer market, and everybody wants Kim Kardashian to hawk their products, right? That's awesome. If she could just do it, oh my God, we have 10 million users. Well, that's going to cost you 10 million bucks too. So don't discount the wannabe influencers, the influencers that have a couple thousand followers, right? You can make a better, more economical deal with them. They need more content to get more followers. So you might be able to really work a sweet deal. So maybe 5 of those people could be equal to one kind of bigger person. That's it. Any questions about that stuff that I can answer? No questions. I did such a bang up job.
Good, tell us what you're doing with Cineviva then, either with social media.
So one of the things that I realized as a guy with an idea, besides Larry's revelation about millennials, is that I certainly know that if I have a millennial market, I am not the person to talk to that market. I can talk to you because you're not millennials. So I let my kids do the social, and I let them design the actual app interface on mobile. I still had a hand in design on the desktop, right? But we designed a PWA app which works across all platforms, but they had a hand in mobile. They would come to the meetings and they would say, no, you know what? Instagram and Tinder, they don't have that like that. We need to change this. I let them run with it. So one of the things that I've learned along the way is that you keep learning. And so C2Migo is, we've got customers, we're trying to get investment, but it's kind of going. But I've learned that, interestingly enough, my millennials, again, for a millennial market, are the people that need to interface. So if you have a millennial market, have a millennial on your team.
So you do the patent and copyright and trademark thing too. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what your thoughts are now about how much you should open up, and like in these focus groups and things, you kind of let it out there what you're doing, and then how much you keep in your pocket and, because of rights issues.
So trademarks. So let's talk about it real quick. Copyrights are written works. Could be a photograph, could be a sculpture, right? Those are instantaneous copyrights. If you write something 5 minutes before a meeting and you get an idea for a story, you write the first paragraph, that paragraph is instantly copyrighted. Okay? The law sees that as an instant copyright. So you have instant copyright. So you don't have to worry about necessarily, I wouldn't divulge everything about the book you're writing or your whatever it is you're writing, but I wouldn't worry about it either, because the minute you put pen to paper or typewriter or whatever, electrons to screen, it's copyrighted. Trademark, as soon as you use it. So if you've got a name and you're afraid somebody's going to take it, you need to put the TM on it and start using it with TM on your website, on a flyer, on your business cards, wherever. It doesn't mean you're actually going to get a registered trademark, but you're announcing to the world, hey, I'm trying to claim this. Okay, I'm trying to claim this, and I have put it on a website, and then what I would do if I were you is figure out how you can take a screenshot of that website and get a date on it, because that's how you're going to defend when you started this, when you started that trademark. So maybe I just have a business card. You know what I'd do? I'd get today's newspaper, hold up my business card, take a picture. Right? The newspaper has the date. Something that has the date that shows that's when you started to use this trademark. Patents. Patents are a different story. So the patent rules are such that, let's say you had an idea, great idea, and you disclosed it to us. Okay, number one, somebody else could beat you to the patent office. But number two, you also have a duty within 1 year of public disclosure, to patent that. If you don't patent it within 1 year of public disclosure, it's open for everybody. Nobody can patent. Now, what's public disclosure? Public disclosure is me talking to you guys saying, hey, I got a great idea. But what if I say, hey, would you guys take 5 minutes, sign my non-disclosure agreement real quick, and I'll tell you about my idea? That's not public disclosure. You've all signed my NDA, okay? As far as what I recommend people do, there's ways to talk about an idea using an analogy or talking to somebody like me who's an attorney, an IP attorney, about, hey, here's my idea, but I need business help. What do I disclose? My recommendation to those people is that if you're going to talk to a consultant, right, you get an NDA, that same NDA that we just talked about. Attorneys have a higher duty to not disclose, so they can get into a lot more trouble by disclosing and losing their license. So I wouldn't worry about that. But remember, just because I'm talking to an attorney, say after this meeting, or if I'm talking to somebody about my idea, they happen to be an attorney, or even if I have an NDA with them, if I'm in earshot of somebody else, not good, right? Got to be confidential. So the law puts an onus on you to kind of make sure you're keeping things, or trying to keep things confidential. Did I answer your question?
I think so.
Anything else I can answer?
So way back at the beginning, you're talking about the difference between, obtainable and serviceable market. But if you're building software, it sounds insane to say, oh, the whole world is my obtainable, my serviceable market in theory. That's still not realistic in real world.
Well,
How do you get from that to
okay,
something?
so let's talk about that. I just built some software. Let's say the CDMIGO software.
Yeah.
Right? It's downloadable. It's on the web. People in Russia could access it. Is it in Russian language? No. Is that a part of my TAM? No. Southwest flight to Russia? No. So even software, you can start to carve out your TAM, right? Unless you have every language, right? You're going to confine yourself. Now, maybe in 5 years, you make it in Russian. And so now your TAM just expanded if you're going after that market. So even with software, I think I mentioned, you quickly get to, for all of us here, you quickly get to the US, right? Pretty quickly. But then after that, I'd say is a pretty hard stop.
But is it responsible then? Because obviously in theory, but is it responsible to say I'm building software, in theory, my serviceable market is to everyone in the US?
Yes, absolutely.
That's not your
The fast food restaurant example wasn't, because nobody in Illinois is going to drive here and eat my taco barbecue sandwich. Okay, as unique as it is and as amazing as it is, nobody's going to drive that far. But software, because of downloads and the internet, somebody in New York can download CDMIGO just as easily as somebody in Florida, just as easily as you after this meeting. So software, like I said, I think very quickly goes to the boundaries of the US, and then you start to deal with language.
Like you're serving a very specific market.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a specific number, and I guess I'm asking the question because specifically, if 1.6 million students apply to college every year, is it reasonable for me to say that that's my serviceable market?
No,
It's not.
it's your TAM.
That's your TAM.
That's your TAM.
10.
TAM.
And how many apply to junior colleges, right? I mean,
And I have those
Then you
numbers,
start-
but
But
that's where I'm going is I gotta do something there.
but that's your TAM. Okay, so one point, if that's how many people, if you've done the research and that's how many people apply to colleges in the United States, that is your TAM. So think about it. If you got everybody to use your software and there's nobody else left, that's 1.6 million just told in the US. That's your TAM.
Yep.
All right, now serviceable. So now let's go back and let's understand what serviceable is. Okay. It's the segment targeted by which is in your geographic reach. Well, your geographic reach is, okay, so let's think about another narrowing factor. Is it 4-year colleges versus 2-year colleges? Is it gender? Is it age? I mean, you have to tell me. I don't know. So if none of that's, no, it applies to all of that. So maybe your SAM is out here. That still doesn't mean that's what you're going to get. This is what you're going to get. This is saying, okay, now let's look at this. And let's take two things into account. What's my competition and what are my resources to get out to that SAM? Maybe your market is all of those college students in the United States. But now you start to calculate, well, if I'm going to get that market, it's going to take $4 million in advertising. Do you have $4 million? If you don't have that, then that may be a limiting factor to your serviceable, attainable market. Okay, so I should have put that down. It's either geographic reach, right? In the case of a restaurant or a local service. But in the case of software, it could be money, right? It could be money and competition. And the competition thing is a little harder because if your competition is out there, now you have to kind of guess, well, okay, I'm going to advertise, but how much is my competition advertising? How much am I really going to get the attention versus what they're doing? Right? Are they just big bullies? Are they not, are they just overpowering the space, the parents and college students? And if I start even advertising on Facebook, I'm going to get a small amount. So that could be the limiting factor too. Competition and money, and what the competition takes.
So there's not, and I expected this to be the answer, but there's not a sort of standard best practice way to go with a product like that, which, like, in theory, even the serviceable market could be every potential. That it's my knowledge of my own industry and product that helps me narrow.
And your wallet, okay? But I don't know your market. I don't know all those things that could help you narrow, right? So we just brought up 2-year and 4-year colleges. We brought up gender. How about family income? Is that a limiting? How about, does it matter if their parents went to college? I don't know. I'm guessing at all these things that you could find out and ask, right? Out of a survey, this is where Survado would be cool, or SurveyMonkey, and you could figure out what are the limiting factors to my song. Okay, again, this is more what this looks like is your hardware, your local service. SAM is probably going to come out a lot farther on a software product, just because of downloadable content in our world.
But hers is not inexpensive. I think you should be looking at people who are willing to pay for prep classes for SATs. They're likely the ones that are willing to pay for other services.
Like I said, there's a lot of narrowing factors that that I don't, right? That's another good one. And so you've got to do your work to figure out how do you go from here to here and what are those factors.
My best guess right now is a pretty good guess, but it has to do with if I look at last year, right? So if I look at last year and I look at the number of all those students who actually ended up at a private 4-year college.
Private being the key word.
Right, so it's a huge difference, so that's 30%. So it goes from 1.6 million people applied to 500,000 students ended up at a private 4-year college. It tends to narrow in on the students that had money, the family that had more money than the rest.
And I'm going to go off Maggie. How many send them to some kind of SAT prep class or college prep? What about courses they take? Are there any high school courses that are indicators?
I think AP classes are probably
AP classes.
Additional prep.
But again, again, that's how you're going to go from SAM to SOM. Okay, and only you know that, but you have to go through the exercise of narrowing that down as best you can. Remember, be critical. Ask questions. Be this person over here that says, gender, does gender matter? And then go back over here and go, no, you idiot, gender doesn't matter. Okay, well, what about prep class? What about family? Yes, family. You've got to do that. That's how you become your own best friend rather than your own worst enemy.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, sir.
So if you look at the TAM, and you said you use that service or say survey money. I mean, what size of segment are you really surveying before you narrow down to your SAM or SOM from when you do those questions?
Well, I would at least get it to here. Those surveys can help you get from here.
Right.
The TAM you probably know, right? I mean, the TAM we can all guesstimate, right? I'm going after Southwest flyers. So my TAM is 160 million flyers a year on Southwest. That's my TAM. If I got every single person on Southwest Airlines, I'd be in the Bahamas.
So those
Big
are
ass
unique
boat.
users?
I'm sorry?
Unique users?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
So,
out of how many of them do you survey just to get that information?
well, I think that if you go to sites like Survada, they will tell you the more you survey, and they're going to give you an answer you don't like. The more you survey, the better your data, right? But I would say realistically, from my experience, 500 to 1,000. If you survey 500 to 1,000 people, which is about $1,000, and you're going to start seeing patterns in the data, and you're going to be able to reliably extrapolate that. 1,000 people in any kind of survey is a reliable number. And so,
wouldn't it be better spending acquired users for that money and using analytics to analyze the
that's another way to go. That's another way to go. And I would say that way is really great once you start having users, right? To continue to survey them. It's a little bit chicken and the egg. If you really think, I mean, because the average out there on software, I'm just talking apps from my experience and what I know from the data. The acquisition price in the US for somebody to download an app is about 50 cents. That's customer acquisition cost. Let's just double that for the sake of being conservative. So let's say it's $1. All right, so now I've got $1,000. So I could spend that money on getting 1,000 users, or I could spend that money asking 1,000 people, which I hope represents millions. It's up to you. I know which way I would go, but I don't think there's a wrong answer. Maybe 1,000 users to you is amazing. Maybe it's 1,000 local users. And maybe you're just, I mean, you get to pop your chest out and say, I got the market in Reno, 1,000 users here in Reno. That could be a big deal. So I think we have to look at other particulars in order to really answer that question. Does that answer the question? Anything else from anybody? Well, thank you once again. I really appreciate the time. I hope you've all learned something, and please feel free to ask me more questions. Like I said, I'm around all the time in Reno at Entrepreneurs Assembly or StartUpNV, wherever. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Join us on the second Wednesday of. Thank you.